I had an opportunity to try out V10 Mad Max mode in Raleigh rush hour traffic. This is version 32.12.1. I hate being a Tesla hole, so I was a bit nervous not about Mad Max mode making unsafe lane changes, but socially unacceptable lane changes. I'll never allow Autopilot to do the former, as you'll quickly see. However, I was determined to let Mad Max mode do its thing as long as what I was doing was safe, even if it made me look like an idiot or a jerk. Yes, you can be safe and be a jerk at the same time, but as it turns out, that never happened on this drive. In fact, Mad Max mode was way more like Maid Max in choosing when to change lanes. It got off to a bad start. Watching the video, I can now see that Navigate on Autopilot did not have this on-ramp and its acceleration lane as part of its auto lane change plans. As far as it was concerned, it was already driving as if it were on I-440, Raleigh's inner beltline. I had to take over the first time because it was barreling down a blind curve where I knew cars could be stopped on the other side. After putting it back in Autopilot to see if it would merge out of this acceleration lane, I eventually realized it wasn't even trying. I waited as long as possible to see if the end of the acceleration lane would trigger an auto lane change, but it didn't. I took over again to merge into the first lane that is truly on I-440. While you're watching that happen, I want to point out that you should be able to see my left hand on the wheel at all times in this video. Tesla's Autopilot is awesome, but it's not ready to do everything, and you need to be able to quickly take over on the occasion that it wigs out. Keeping my hand there and relaxing my arm means that I never get any nags even though I'm not putting any effort into steering. You'll notice that it is lightly raining, which can be a problem for Navigate on Autopilot. Earlier in my drive, I did have Navigate on Autopilot shut off due to weather, but that was when it was raining a little harder and I was driving about 70 miles per hour. It's possible that Mad Max mode is tempered because of lower confidence in what the sensors are seeing, but there is no easy way of teasing that out through observation. Auto wipers work great during my whole drive through a wide variety of rain speeds. If anything, it wiped a little fast at times, but I never had to press the wipe button to clear the windshield once on what was an hour-long drive around Raleigh. This video is just 22 minutes of that drive, and for the rest of the video, I will only comment when Navigate on Autopilot does something significant, like signaling for this lane change. I've put timestamps in the video description if you just want to skip ahead, or you can let the video play to see that version 10 is better than ever at maintaining speed in stop-and-go traffic. This is where Navigate on Autopilot quickly redeemed itself. This lane is an exit-only lane, but the navigation knew I had to get out of it to stay on the beltline. Autopilot signaled, found me a hole, and slid right in like a pro. This is the first time on this trip that I was truly amazed at how well this worked. The merge was both safe and socially acceptable, though I did a little wave to the car behind me nonetheless. I then decided to stay in this lane even though traffic was traveling nowhere near the 60 mile per hour max speed it automatically set. You'll see that was a good choice as the two left lanes slowed. Here's the first point. I would have expected a little more from Mad Max mode. Traffic in front of me was clearly slowing, but no effort was made to merge into the faster lane on my left before it became too late to make a safe pass. Once speed in my lane started approaching that in the lane to my left, Mad Max decided it was a good time to move over. This lane change was once again both safe and socially acceptable as there was a pretty big gap for me to shift into. Here's the first goofy decision Mad Max made. I think the vehicle slowing directly in front of me triggered a lane change, but it was out of the way with a clear path in front of me before the lane change was initiated. Mad Max made a safe change, but not only was it a bad choice then, Mad Max stuck with it even as the lanes to my right were clearly going faster. Here's goofy decision number 2 for Mad Max. Just as my lane starts to become the faster one again, it decides to shift over one lane to the right. Note that I am over 3 miles from my exit. Maybe Navigate on Autopilot doesn't want to get cut off, but again, this is way more conservative a lane change decision than I would expect for a setting called Mad Max. I was impressed with the execution of this lane change nonetheless. It did take a while for Autopilot to signal, and at that point, a string of tightly spaced cars started passing me on my right. What happened next is where Autopilot first looked like Mad Max to me, though in truth the setting is only supposed to affect when auto lane changes are triggered, and not how they're executed. There was a very small opening this time for me to move into, yet Autopilot took the opportunity and merged very tightly behind a passing car. Almost immediately, my previous lane started traveling much faster than the other 2 lanes. I would have guessed Mad Max would move me back into that lane, but it did not. It kept me in the middle lane, even as the traffic to my left gave me multiple opportunities to enter. This is goofy decision number 3 for Mad Max. I'm still 2.5 miles from my exit, but Navigate on Autopilot moves me to the rightmost lane right before it meets merging traffic. Maybe the lane change was triggered by the trucks in front of me slowing, but the right lane is a really bad choice, as you will see. I think this is where auto lane change can benefit from incorporating traffic data into its decisions. Ultimately, cars will be networked and automatically route themselves in the most efficient lane, but we are not there today. So far, Mad Max has been very polite, and it continues to be so as it makes a gap for a merging car. At 1.5 miles from my exit, you can see how I could have stayed in the leftmost lane all along and still had plenty of opportunity to move over in time. This shows how something can work but not be useful at the same time. Navigate on Autopilot is better than ever for me at following not only the law but also the unwritten rules of making lane changes. It hasn't embarrassed me once or even remotely done anything unsafe for me or other vehicles. However, it's not a feature I would use in traffic like this because it seems very nearsighted. I think it makes decisions on what the radar sees without incorporating what the cameras can see down the road or what traffic data is already being displayed right on the screen. A human driver can also incorporate local traffic knowledge in ways that might never be solved with an algorithm alone.
In 1 mile, take exit 4B on the right toward Interstate 40 West, Durham.
Here's goofy decision number 4. I guess Mad Max decides to avoid the cars stacked up on the exit to my right, but then it abruptly changes its mind. I did nothing here. The signal went on, then it went off all on its own. Here's another point where Autopilot makes room for a merging car, though I'd qualify this guy's merge as the impolite one. He was going to merge whether or not I/Autopilot slowed down. It caused no drama for me, but I couldn't help chuckling at the sign on the back of the truck warning me about his tendency to make frequent stops. This lane turned into the exit lane, so Navigate on Autopilot didn't have to do any work here. I was wary of late and aggressive mergers like the ones that almost caused a fender bender already, but none tried to make their way in front of me this time.
Now take exit 4B on the right. In 1,000 feet, take the Blue Ridge Road exit on the right.
Navigate on Autopilot has me staying in this lane to exit once again, so once again it doesn't have to make any merging decisions. However, it might have to make room for traffic merging from the left. While it will adjust for cars clearly merging, it's not going to let someone in just because their turn signal is on. I would have let another car or two merge in front of me if I were driving, but I never had the expectation for Autopilot to do something that advanced. And with those tones, my test of Mad Max mode in rainy rush hour traffic has concluded. Though I don't think it was aggressive at all in choosing when to change lanes, I continue to be amazed at how my car just did all of that driving fully autonomously, safely, and without driving like a jerk. If you're looking to try Navigate on Autopilot by buying a Tesla for yourself, be sure to use my referral link to get free supercharging. I do appreciate you watching The Tech of Tech, and I hope to see you next time.